Alonso Chavez, welcome to the Build to Rent Network. How are you?
Hey, Alvin. Good. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, dude, this is always fun. I mean, one of the things that I'm excited about is that you are a builder from a region that we all know Texas. We don't usually think of Southern Texas. We think that Houston is as south as it goes, but you're actually in that region close to the border. So I definitely want to tap into a little bit more about your local insight there. And obviously, there's a lot of growth happening there with SpaceX and a bunch of other firms moving to that area. So I definitely want to learn more about you. But let's start on a very high level. You are the owner of Firm Foundation based in South Texas. How did you get started in real estate?
Hey, Alvin. Yeah, so, I grew up in real estate. My grandfather and my father did it all their lives. And, when I was younger, I swore I would never do real estate, but, here I am, and I love it. In my previous years, I was the VP of sales of one of the biggest production builders here in the region. And a few years back, I decided to, go on my own, and that's how Firm Foundation was born.
And how did you go into new construction? Because obviously, selling is like fun, it's easy, really no risk. Either you sell or you don't sell. When you go into new construction, you're taking on a lot more risk, a lot of risk that people don't have a tolerance for. What kind of got you comfortable? And then can you walk me through kind of the first build that you've made?
Yes, absolutely. So what made me confident in getting in new construction, based on my experience with big production builders, is that I realized that if you're efficient, it's way safer. So we focus a lot on efficiency. Our project management is extremely tight, and then also our quality control. Obviously, this came over the years of seeing my father and my grandfather deal with the common issues from the day to day for construction, and then also the high efficiency model from a production builder. So I basically use both scenarios to create kind of like the best possible processes in place. And that's how we decided to go. In our first home, we built it in a little over like 4 months and a few days change. So we actually built it under our schedule. And it was a very good feeling. I mean, I did it for a production builder for a long time, but once you see something on your own and we were able to hit that efficiency target, was very rewarding.
Yeah, so there's three main takeaways from what you just shared with us. One of us is that you learn from free by just looking at your parents. And you and I are different in this standpoint. Like you learned what your parents and grandfather did well, and you modeled your business after them. I saw
Yeah.
my father make a whole bunch of mistakes, and I
Yeah.
was like, man, if my father is a first gen, he's an immigrant, so he just came and he's just a risk taker, right? And I'm like, man, if
Yeah.
this guy
Yeah.
can be successful with all of his flaws, if I can just improve all the things he's doing wrong, I'm going to kill it in this game. So,
Yes.
but there's times that you do free labor for your parents, but you're still learning nuggets. And, it's important for us as fathers to have kids that watch and understand what we do. It's amazing, like the amount of kids that like don't know what their parents do. They just see the
Yes.
money come in, and they don't, and these are all data points that they could use to make their own decision. They may choose to model what we do. They may choose not to, but at least they have that data point and they have such a unique advantage. The other thing that you mentioned is that you decided to work for someone. And so the first time around, you were free labor to your parents. Second time around, you're getting paid to learn. And now you're being brought up in systems. And generally, when you work for a corporation, like I worked for several of them, you learn systems, you learn how to hire, you learn how to fire, you learn HR policies, you learn all these things like that. And then it's like, hey, when it's my turn, I'm going to steal these systems and put it to what I'm most passionate about. The third part is you decide, okay, now I'm at the point where I can do this myself. And that's a huge step. And we deal with a lot of different type of investors that are just getting started. Like at some point you can learn everything, you could have done everything, but until it's like on you to make sure it happens well, it's a lot of pressure. Now, fortunately for you, it went well, but I would imagine even if it didn't go well, you would have kept going.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's always a work in progress, and every challenge is a learning lesson. And you're absolutely right. I saw, my parents were a mom and pop um, real estate business. I definitely saw when I was growing up, like, opportunities for improvement, even though, they were very successful. But then when I went into a big corporation. I was able to learn. So I use what all the opportunities for improvement, and then I was able to learn how to do that with this company. I took both. One factor appearances that I saw, for example, the big production builder was missing is really taking the time to understand what people want in a home. So I remember my dad drawing with chalk on the floor, where would the kitchen be and how would the family move around it, and like how the traffic flow would, and him and my mom would spend hours just in a shell trying to figure out what would be the best layout for a family. And that's something that we implement today in our homes. We put a lot of effort, and I learned that from them, right? Like, what do people want in a home? How the traffic flow of a family, would work inside a home. The parents want the privacy in the living area. Like, what's the dynamic like for a family? And we try to focus that to basically meet those needs, and we've been very successful. We get praised for our floor plans and layouts. And I tell you, Alvin, it takes us 6 to 8 months to develop one floor plan, because we don't do it just like quick. We really think about it, like, what are the benefits that, people are going to get in with this layout and this floor plan. So that's
Yeah,
something that we take
it's
after.
a very interesting point. Like the first builder I actually did a lot of volume before was a
Yeah.
D.R. Horton.
Yes.
And they will famously have like the same like tiles that you would have from 15 years ago. They'll still put those same square tiles in there. They'll have carpet in all the bedrooms, and it's like all these little things. They design it to just be like like for an HOA to just pack all these shotgun type houses right next to one another, and it's just the entire house is just a long hallway.
Yes.
It's just like
Yes.
from
Yes,
a
it is.
building perspective, using the same materials 15 years in a row could make sense. But if you're an owner or you're a renter, a lot of times you're looking for the same thing, which is yes, you need a house to be functional, but you also it's a gathering place, and like where you meet matters. So this is actually a sidetrack. I wasn't meaning to ask you this, but I do want to kind of pick on this a little bit. Can you walk us through kind of what's a really good floor plan versus a really bad one?
Yeah. So, for example, the space utilization, right? So I'm gonna give you an example. Our floor plans usually get people the impression that they're bigger than what they really are, because we really utilize space. So there are a lot of floor plans that it feels to me that, they were rushed, but you see the layout, for example, of the kitchen. If it's a 2,500 square feet home and they do a kitchen the size of a, 2-bedroom apartment, right? And it's in the middle, you're wasting space. The dining room feels crowded. The house is dark, it doesn't have a lot of windows. So that, believe it or not, affects the consumer first impression. Number one, like, nobody likes to feel in a small place. So one of the main goals is, how can we make, even in our small floor plan, how can we make it look spacious and give that breathing room to the consumer, right? Another thing, and this is more like a behavioral science on the consumer side, but it's natural light, right? So one of the main complaints, at least in a region, that you see in surveys from customers is like, the lack of natural light, like not enough windows. And I understand having less windows is probably more cost efficient for a builder, but at the cost of what, right? So if you put more windows, the house is proven to sell 37% faster, but also you get a really high score in the first impression on on homeowner that is going to walk it for the first time, specifically women, right? Because the wives, for example, they're the ones that buy the house emotionally, and the husbands, they buy the house logically, right? So the wife, it's all about the design, control light, the selections, the finishes, and then the husband, it's all about the financial part, right? Like how much the payment is going to be and all that stuff. So you can combine both and meet each one of their needs. You have a successful sale right there.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Like my aunt, she lives in a double wide trailer in Waco, Texas, and all of the family lives over in Dallas, Texas. And they're telling her like, "Come over to Dallas, come over to Dallas. This is where you got to be in Dallas." And she's like, "Listen, guys, when I wake up every single morning and I look outside my window, I see the sunrise with an uninterrupted view of the sun going up. You
Yes.
can't replace that with anything." It's like it's a little bit more like there's a sense of like a romance attached to it. There's a sense of like of this energy force that maybe you and I don't feel. And good thing you have
Yes.
that survey because we can learn about women that way.
Yeah, exactly.
There's an energy force, there's a life force that's there. Given that we're in the built to rent space, we often forget that you can't treat a renter that much different than a homeowner. A lot of
You
times they're
can.
looking for the exact same thing. The numbers have to make sense. Yes, the right side of your brain has to work, but it's also this left side of the brain where is this like a home? And for a lot of women, like they're nesters. Like the man might go out and go kill the worm and do whatever, but the woman is a homemaker. She's
Yes.
designing a place to raise a family. She wants to have a nice, pleasant environment. Like I met my wife during college. Her dorm room was way nicer than mine, right? Because she
Yes.
decorated it. She made sure she changed the bed sheets more often, right? She made it like a comfortable, nice environment. And that's what
Cozy.
tenants are looking to do. If you're raising a family there, if you're, getting married somewhere, you want to make it feel like it's forever. Like as
Yes.
a guy, I could live in a broom closet and I'll be fine if it makes rational sense. But that's not ideally your best tenant would want to be there for a long time, would want to make it their home, would want to raise their family there. And those small little touches make a big difference.
Absolutely. You want them to walk into the house and feel that cozy feeling and then picture themselves living in them. And that's what we try to do when we're designing our floor plan.
Yeah, so I spent some of the summer in Texas. I drove around the entire state and I focused my trip basically on the triangle, right? Which is Dallas, which is San Antonio, Austin, and then Houston, so I spent most of my time there. I didn't go further south than that, but obviously Texas is exploding. If you drive around, you see every single, like everything is turning into Houston, where it's
Yeah.
16 wide lanes called, I don't know what the proper term for this is, but I call them spaghetti highways where you have like one overpass over another overpass and there's another overpass over that one.
Yes.
And it's just like this figure four of crossings happening. But Texas is exploding. And a
It
lot
is.
of it has to do with the onshoring that's happening. We're obviously moving away from manufacturing in China, and there's a big play with obviously doing a lot more within the continent or within our hemisphere, right? Within North and South America. And the major route for trading is all through South America, particularly through Mexico. Now, the market that you build in is the Rio Grande Valley area. And that's where a lot of this economic activity is taking place. You're a builder there, you're seeing the demand firsthand. Can you kind of walk us through what it's like on the ground, seeing all these changes occur?
Yes, absolutely. We're a very particular region. First of all, the biggest port of goods entering from Mexico to the United States is here. It's in the Rio Grande Valley. I think about 80% of the produce of the national produce coming from Mexico to be distributed in the United States, it's literally to this port. But then we also have the beach. We have the port of Brownsville. So having that said, we're also in the national eye. As you know, there's a lot of movement in manufacturing, specifically with the situation with China. So there's a lot of manufacturing prospecting going on here in the region. The cost of living is very low. The cost of labor, it's very low. So we're seeing a migration of big companies. SpaceX is here. I forgot the name of one of the biggest gasoline companies. They're also here. And they just announced last week, factoring company from France, they're building 1 million square feet, facility here in the valley. And just like that, there are more coming. So I've been here since 2006. I moved here to college. I wanted to go to Austin, but my dad was like, "No, you're gonna party over there. If you want, go to the Rio Grande Valley with your aunt, and that's it. If not, you can do college here in Mexico." And I can tell you, I've been here for 20 years, and I could not believe if you would have asked me in 2006, like the region was gonna be the way it is today, I would be like, there's no way. I mean, there's just so much growth And besides that sector, the manufacturing sector, the import export sector, we also have out of towners and out of staters choosing to live here, mainly for the cost of living, but also the area. McAllen, Texas is the seventh safest city to live in the United States. We were all over the news last year because the crime rate is extremely low. And even though we ourselves have not seen any type of issues with, because I know like open north cities, like, there were situations with migrants and causing, not here, I mean, I don't know if it's because they're passing through, but we haven't had that issue here. It's actually a very, very safe city. I mean, my family's here. I never had a bad experience. So the crime rate is extremely low as well. So you put together low crime rate, low cost of living, and then the economical potential that it has, it just makes it extremely, extremely appealing.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the region for the economic benefits of it, in which, when you think about where you want to invest in, you want to figure out, okay, like I want to make a smart investment and not have to worry about it from a day-to-day basis. So one of the things to look at is like what industries are in that area. And so
Yeah.
generally there's three major good industries to be in. And you're always thinking about like in the worst case scenario event, because even if you're very like whether you're pessimistic or optimistic, we know eventually they will be a recession. It's a matter of
Yes.
fact. And the ability to
So,
survive and possibly even thrive in that scenario makes the most sense. So you want to figure out, okay, what industries are there? What's employing people there? And if you can do well in those industries, regardless of the recession, you're going to do fine from an investment perspective. The three industries are healthcare, which obviously the region has a lot of large healthcare facilities. You also have transportation, which you guys specialize in, right? That's probably your number one thing. And you have just government as a whole, in which you can say government contractors are also fall into that bucket, in which you guys are also there with the mention of SpaceX. So those are just your baseline economies. Then you have emergent industries which are also taking place there. And you have kind of a trifecta of just stable employment's going to be there. The other
yes.
thing is the type of housing that you're building there. You're not chasing the highest rents in the world. You're not trying to get 4,000 a month for a penthouse suite or anything. You're focusing more on workforce housing. Can you walk us through kind of like what that workforce housing population needs and why it's a better opportunity to aim for more affordable rent as opposed to chasing really high rents?
Yes, absolutely. There, you hit it on the nail when you mentioned healthcare. So there's a massive amount of nurses and technicians moving down here. There's a shortage locally on medical staff. There's a lot of hospitals going on. They're building a brand new hospital. Trauma centers. There was only one. Now there's two, but it's not enough. South Texas health system is literally investing in a lot of hospitals down here because they're trying to make it like a hub. Houston used to be the medical hub for Mexican nationals, but now they want to do it here. The region was like, hey, why do you have to go all the way over here? Like, I'm literally next door to you. And we're seeing a massive amount of nurses moving here. And Alvin, when you move to a new place, your first instinct is, well, I'm gonna rent first, to see, number one, if I want to stay here. Number two, if I like the area, etc. And there are not enough single family inventory for rent in the area. There's, multifamily, there's a lot of apartment complexes, but there's not enough. And you can see in the data, there's not enough of single family inventory for rent. And for that matter, it's actually very sick. And since it's kind of rare, the rental days on the market here, specifically in new construction, which is also rare, open because the houses that you see available for rent, they're usually pre-existing homes, but you don't see a lot of new construction. So if somebody builds a new house and starts renting them, like the days on the market, I don't know. But not only from the healthcare, we're starting to see, also, I don't know if you're familiar with our local university, UTRGB, they're growing. And we have a lot of students, that they come from like, well-off families, I guess, because there's a couple of specializations that, this university is famous for. It's one of the most affordable medical schools. in the state. If not, I can get back to you, but I think it's probably now the most affordable medical school. So you have a lot of medical students coming here, and they come and they want to rent a house, or they get with a friend and they want to rent a house. So we have a couple of rental properties, and we rent it to students, like all the time, and they come to the medical school, and they're opening now the law school. So you have all these needs coming from different, I guess, industries and different needs. But when it comes to single family inventory homes, there's definitely not enough.
Yeah.
It's there's plenty of multifamily, but single family no, and they're very in high demand. I don't know if I told you. Like I give you an example the other day. I saw like this super small home in my neighborhood, and I think I told you like I could not believe when they rented it out, they actually got that rent rate. But the reason is because there's not a lot of homes like that they're new construction that are available for rent. Most people just build and sales to the final home buyer, and then they build a house.
Yeah, and you do a lot of single family homes, you do duplexes, you also do quadplexes, and these are all turnkey properties. Now, I know what the term turnkey means, but can you walk us through what a turnkey investment built to rent property means for the first time investor?
Yes, absolutely. We build them with basically, we understand like the investor just wants to buy something that it's ready for somebody to rent and, move immediately in. So we take care of obviously, making sure of furnishing like all the appliances. We focus a lot on long-term reliability because, at the end of the day, who likes getting the phone calls of, hey, this is not working, can you come fix it? We put a lot of effort and pride, and that's why we offer extended warranties of systems, craftsmanship, and also structural. We also, anywhere we build, we do a rigorous statistical regressional study to make sure, number one, that it's on a high demand. All the subdivisions that we build, they have to have certain check marks. For example, they need to have a school, particularly elementary and junior high, right? So the subdivisions that we build literally across the street or with the same street, there's schools, and also we make sure like it's a good school district. One of them actually particularly, it's the most demanded junior high in the region. There's a waiting list. So any family that actually lives in that subdivision, their kids have like automatic entry to that school. And number two, grocery stores and restaurants and entertainment. I know the turnkey is probably more like is ready for people to move in, but what I mean by turnkey as well is like we do a lot of the market research to make sure that it's appealing for people to live in the area. Now that's speaking about the area, but also our homes. The most demanded in the area are 3 bedrooms, sometimes 4. So all of our floor plans are 3 to 4 bedrooms to cover those needs. And also we can connect you with, as you know, Alvin, if you buy one of our homes, you have the property management on us for the first year. But also we connect you with preferred property management companies, that we already work. We can also set up the maintenance. So we have a team of maintenance, that they take care of the yard, stuff like that on a monthly basis. And we can simply just, transfer all that operation of maintenance and property management to you. So it's just the engine is already running, so we just transfer it and you don't have to move a finger. Everything will be taken care of.
Yeah, those are a lot of benefits. One, the house is there's nothing for you to do as the investor. You bought the house, you can put it for rent right away. And it's also the team that's behind it, the insurance, the property management, the preferred lender, a title company. That's all figured out ahead of time. Again, we're designing this to be more of a system. And you can try to figure all this out on your own, but most investors just decide to go with the default and go with the recommended providers that way. And then again, you can't legally say I want a young family with school age children as my tenants. We can't
Right.
legally do that, but you can design for them, and those are
Exactly.
going to be the best tenants that you have because they have pride of ownership. Kids go to little league, they go to a nice, good school, and the worst thing a parent wants to do is move a kid out of that school district in the middle of the year.
Right.
So there's a benefit for them staying long term. As long as the rental rate increases are reasonable to them, they're probably going to want to stay for life. That's the key demographic. And so I do want to thank you for your time today. If anyone wants to get more information from Alonso, you can go to buildtorentnetwork.com. He'll have his profile there. You can connect with him directly that way. But again, I want to thank you for your time. I have to plan a second trip down to Texas because apparently I missed the best region that I could have gone to. But
Yes.
we'll connect again, make that happen. Again, thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care.
Thanks so much, Alvin. Have a good one. Appreciate the time.